You know the type. OP Isekai MCs who don't just win, they steamroll entire worlds. From slimes turned gods to shut-ins running kingdoms, these are the 23 anime where the main character breaks the system. Let's jump into the best overpowered Isekai.
That time, I got reincarnated as a slime. Rimuru Tempest starts his new life as a blue blob in a fantasy forest, and within a few episodes, he's rewriting the food chain. After dying in the real world, he reincarnates as a slime. But not just any slime. His unique ability, Predator, lets him absorb the powers of anything he devours, including dragons, magic beasts, and entire skill trees. Add regeneration, resistance to physical attacks, and basically no level cap, and Rimuru becomes unstoppable. But what makes this series more than just another OP Isekai? It's how Rimuru uses that power. Instead of ruling with fear, he builds a nation from scratch, uniting goblins, ogres, and even demon lords under one banner. He's a diplomat, a strategist, and when needed, an absolute battlefield nuke. The world building is deep, the fights are slick, and Rimuru walks the perfect line between goofy and god tier. Whether you're here for the action, the politics, or just the slime jokes, this one delivers.
Overlord. Imagine logging into your favorite game one last time, only to find yourself trapped inside it as your max level character. That's what happens to Momonga, a regular salaryman who suddenly becomes Ain's All-Gown, a skeletal sorcerer king with more power than the rest of the world combined. Overlord takes the trapped in a game trope and dials it up to 11. Ain's isn't just strong, he's absurd. Death magic, reality warping, mind control, you name it, he can cast it. But he's not just a powerhouse, he's also cold, calculated, and sometimes terrifying. Watching him manipulate kingdoms, crush armies, and casually delete enemies makes for a wild ride. What makes Overlord special is how it flips the script. You're not watching a hero save the world, you're watching an undead tyrant build an empire with a loyal cast of overpowered NPCs who worship him like a god. It's dark, smart, and packed with spectacle. And if you're into morally gray power trips, this one's a must.
The Misfit of Demon King Academy. Reincarnated after 2,000 years, Demon King Anos Voldegoat is back and very done with everyone's nonsense. Anos walks into the prestigious Demon King Academy expecting recognition, but finds out history has forgotten him entirely. Instead, a weaker imposter is being worshipped in his place. So what does he do? He aces every test, smashes every rival, and corrects the record violently if needed. Anos isn't just OP, he's ridiculous. He stops hearts with a word, revives enemies just to kill them again, and tanks holy magic like it's a light breeze. But what really sells it is the confidence. He knows he's the real deal, and watching him dismantle an entire rigged system with pure style never gets old. Despite his overwhelming power, Anos is oddly likable. He's respectful, loyal to his family, cares about justice, even if his methods are, well, explosive. The show balances epic power moments with school life banter and plot twists that keep things moving fast.
No game, no life. What if you could win any battle without lifting a sword? No game, no life drops shut-in siblings Sora and Shiro into a world where everything is decided by games, from wars to politics to life and death wagers. Together, they form Blank, an unbeatable duo who never lose. Armed with genius-level strategy, insane observation skills, and a total disregard for common sense, they outplay gods, nations, and species 10 times stronger than them, without ever throwing a punch. What makes this duo overpowered isn't brute force, it's pure intellect. Every episode is a mental chess match, with high-stakes gambles, logic loops, and reality-bending game rules. You're not just watching them win, you're watching how they break the rules better than anyone else. Add in the vibrant art style, constant tension, and just enough chaotic energy, and you've got one of the most stylish OPMC shows out there without a single fireball.
Cautious Hero. When Goddess Restarte summons a hero to save her high-difficulty world, she gets Seiya, a warrior with god-tier stats and a personality straight out of an anxiety disorder. Seiya trains for days before entering town, stockpiles hundreds of potions, and buys multiple sets of armor, just in case. It sounds like a gag, but his over-the-top caution actually pays off. Every paranoid prep ends up saving him from surprise bosses, hidden debuffs, or divine-level threats. But beneath the comedy, there's a reason for Seiya's behavior. The final episodes dive into his past
and flipped the tone entirely, turning what seemed like a one-joke setup into a surprisingly emotional finale. Cautious hero balances laughs, power flexes, and a bit of heartbreak, all tied together with rapid pacing and a self-aware take on the Isekai formula. Wise man's grandchild. A salaryman dies in a car accident and wakes up in a new world as Shin Wolfert, raised by the legendary Merlin of the realm and trained in magic since childhood. The result? He's wildly overpowered and has no idea what normal is. By the time Shin joins the Royal Magic Academy, he's already casting city-level spells, crafting enchanted gear from scratch, and defeating demon lords solo. But because he lived in the woods his whole life, he's hilariously clueless about things like politics, flirting, or not blowing up half the map during training. The fun comes from that gap. Shin's casual use of broken level magic shocks everyone, while he just shrugs it off like it's basic stuff. Meanwhile, his classmates treat him like a one-man army because, well, he is. It's classic power fantasy with a light tone, fun magic battles, and just enough slice of life to balance the explosions.
Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. Makoto Misumi thought he was getting the standard isekai hero deal. Summoned to another world, blessed by a goddess, and sent off to fight evil. Except, the goddess takes one look at his face, says nah, and kicks him to the edge of the world. Rube? Yes, but also the best thing that could have happened. Makoto's powers are anything but average. His physical and magical abilities break every limit, and before long he's forming contracts with dragons, summoning armies, and casually reshaping landscapes. But instead of chasing glory, he just wants to open a trading company and live in peace, if the world would let him. What makes Tsukimichi fun is the contrast between Makoto's monstrous strength and his quiet, polite personality. Everyone underestimates him, and every time they do, he wrecks them with a smile. The world building is strong, the humor lands often, and Season 2 continues to explore the larger consequences of having an OP outcast who doesn't follow anyone's script.
The saga of Tanya the Evil. Reborn as a little girl in an alternate World War I style world, Tanya Degerishev is anything but innocent. She's the reincarnation of a ruthless salaryman who ticked off a godlike entity, now forced to fight in a world full of war and magic to prove her faith or die trying. Tanya might look like a blonde child, but she's a military genius with a kill count higher than most armies. Her magic-enhanced combat skills make her a one-woman artillery unit, and her strategic mind turns entire battles around before they start. She's calculating, cold, and terrifyingly effective. What makes Tanya overpowered isn't just her magic, it's how she turns politics, faith, and military doctrine into weapons. Whether she's gunning down enemy squadrons or giving chilling speeches to her troops, every scene feels like watching a force of nature in action. If you want a darker, more tactical take on the OP isekai genre, this one's top tier. Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody. 1 minute, he's a burned-out programmer testing code. Next thing you know, Suzuki wakes up in a fantasy RPG world and he's level 310. After accidentally triggering a developer cheat, he gains god-tier stats, unlimited gold, and access to every major spell in the game. Instead of going full battle maniac, he decides to travel, explore, and enjoy life, while casually wiping out dragons, saving cities, and collecting a party of loyal and very cute companions along the way. Death March isn't fast-paced action, it's a chill power fantasy. The stakes are low, the food looks amazing, and the world building leans into slice-of-life vibes. But make no mistake, when danger shows up, Sato ends fights in a flash. No training arcs, no near-death moments, just instant victory, usually while staying polite. It's a laid-back journey with a ridiculously strong protagonist who'd rather avoid trouble, but always ends up solving it anyway.
Ari Ferretta. From commonplace to world's strongest. Hajime Nagamo starts as the weakest kid in this class, an ordinary guy with basic skills in a world full of magic prodigies. Then, he gets betrayed, left to die in a dungeon, and everything changes. To survive, Hajime eats monsters, crafts weapons, and pushes his body past its limits. What emerges isn't the same soft-spoken teen, it's a cold, calculating badass armed with a railgun, a vampire lowly sidekick, and no patience for anyone trying to use him again. Ari Ferretta is gritty, brutal, and fast-paced. The early episodes are pure survival horror, but as Hajime grows, so does the scale. City-level threats, demon lords, ancient magic tech. He's not here to save the world out of kindness. He's fighting to get home, and he'll tear through anyone who stands in his way. It's a rougher, edgier take on the OP isekai formula, and if you're into gritty revenge arcs with overkill magic and gunplay, this one scratches that itch. Isekai, cheat magician. Taichi and Rin are your average high school friends, until they get suddenly transported to a fantasy fantasy world and discover their magic stats are completely broken. Within days, Taichi earns the title of Cheat Magician, and it's well-deserved. His magic output rivals ancient heroes, and he can manipulate multiple elements, enhance his physical abilities, and outfight seasoned warriors. Rin's no slouch either. She becomes a top-tier elemental mage with precision that even royal sorcerers envy. While the story follows familiar isekai beats, quests, guilds, noble conflicts, the fun lies in watching two normal teens suddenly become world-class legends. They don't just overpower enemies, they leave them dumbfounded. Tone is lighter than some other OP shows, but if you're into magic systems, party dynamics, and clean battles where the protagonists always have the upper hand, it delivers.
The Eminence in Shadow. Sid doesn't want to be the hero or the villain. He wants to be the mysterious guy in the background, secretly controlling everything. So when he's reincarnated into a fantasy world, he does exactly that, building a secret organization, inventing wild lore, and acting like a side character with a god complex, all for fun. Here's the twist. Everything he makes up turns out to be real. That ancient evil he pretends to fight totally exists. The cult he thinks he's role-playing against, very much active. And while Sid thinks he's just LARPing with dramatic speeches and monologues, the world sees him as an unstoppable legend. He nukes castles mid-conversation, slices through elite knights with a wooden stick, and never breaks character. Even though he doesn't realize it's not a game. It's part self-aware comedy, part edgy power trip, and fully chaotic. If you want an isekai that breaks the mold while breaking everything else, The Eminence in Shadow delivers. Skeleton Knight in Another World. After falling asleep during a late-night gaming session, a man wakes up in the body of his character, a towering, fully armored skeleton knight named Ark. Cool in theory, but when your face is a skull, blending in is off the table. Ark is overpowered right from the start. He can tank magic, teleport, and one-shot monsters like it's no big deal. But unlike most OP protagonists, he's not chasing glory or revenge. He just wants to explore the world, help people, and maybe grab a meal or two along the way. The fun is in the contrast. Ark's this unstoppable force, but he's polite, humble, and genuinely just trying to do good. The show mixes light humor with surprisingly heavy topics like slavery and political corruption without ever getting too grim. If you're into chill vibes with high-level action and a protagonist who's basically a wholesome undead tank, this one's for you.
In Another World with My Smartphone, after dying in the most embarrassing way possible, a lightning bolt from God, Toya is given a second chance in a fantasy world, and he gets to keep his smartphone. Upgraded, of course. Toya's new life starts with cheat-level magic in every element, perfect aim, super speed, and access to modern knowledge through his phone. He can cast ancient spells, fix magic tools, and casually wipe out entire monster hordes, all while checking weather forecasts and calling other worlds. The real twist is, he's not aiming to be a hero. Toya just wants to explore, help people, and maybe build a house somewhere nice. Along the way, he picks up a growing party of princesses, adventurers, and even gods who are drawn to his charm and ridiculous power. It's a lighthearted harem-flavored power fantasy where the main character is nice, efficient, and completely broken. If you want low-stress vibes with an MC who never struggles, this is it.
Campfire cooking in Another World with my absurd skill. When Mukoda gets summoned to a fantasy world, he's clearly not the chosen hero. His only ability? Online grocery, a skill that lets him order food and ingredients from modern Japan. But what looks useless at first turns out to be game-breaking. His cooking is so powerful that it attracts a legendary Fenrir who demands 3 meals a day in exchange for lifelong protection. And once other creatures get a taste, let's just say Makoto's kitchen gets busy. He doesn't fight much, but he doesn't need to. His dishes buff allies, weaken enemies, and win over even the most dangerous beings. With Fenrir and his slime companion Sui handling the combat, Mukoto focuses on what really matters, finding the best seasoning and keeping the food hot. This is the ultimate cozy isekai, part food anime, part slice of life, with just enough action to keep things spicy. And yes, real-life YouTubers have recreated his recipes. Black Summoner. Kelvin wakes up in a fantasy world with no memories of his past life and a serious addiction to fighting strong enemies. Why? Because in exchange for his memories, he got ultra-rare summoning powers, a contract with a literal goddess, and stats that break the game from day one. Unlike most isekai heroes, Kelvin doesn't avoid danger. He chases it. Whether it's soloing an entire dungeon, recruiting demon generals, or taking on legendary monsters, he's always itching for the next challenge. His summoning ability lets him build a party of powerful allies, each more broken than the last. What sets Black Summoner apart is the pacing. Kelvin grows fast, but the world keeps throwing high-level threats at him, which makes the progression
aggression feel earned. And while he's kind to his companions, his battlefield personality flips into full-blown battle junkie mode, smiling through boss fights like he's on vacation. If you're into combat-heavy OP Isekai with a darker edge and no wasted episodes, this one hits.
Parallel World Pharmacy. Pharmacologist Kanji Yakutani dies from overwork and wakes up as a young noble in a medieval world, where medicine is mostly magic and misinformation. But now, he has a divine blessing, the power to create any compound or cure and instantly diagnose illnesses. Armed with modern medical knowledge and OP cheat skills, he sets out to revolutionize healthcare, treating plagues, reforming noble-run clinics, and challenging corrupt guilds who profit off suffering. It's not about sword fights or dungeon crawls, it's about healing, educating, and saving lives at a pace the world's never seen before. What makes Parallel World Pharmacy so compelling is how Kanji's power is used. He doesn't flex strength in battle, he flexes science. The show manages to stay grounded while still delivering high-stakes moments like royal epidemics and political sabotage attempts. If you're tired of Isekai MCs solving problems by vaporizing them, this is a smart, meaningful take on being overpowered.
Seirei Gensoki Spirit Chronicles. When a university student dies in a traffic accident, his soul is reincarnated into a poor orphan named Ryo in a fantasy world, and that's where things get complicated. Ryo not only inherits magical talent, but also the memories and emotions of his past life, fusing two personalities into one. That alone makes him unique. But as Ryo trains, he unlocks elite combat skills, powerful spirit magic, and a mental clarity that puts him far beyond the average adventurer. Within a few episodes, he's defeating knights, dodging assassins, and uncovering royal conspiracies, all while trying to figure out who he really is. Seirei Gensoki balances its OP moments with real emotional depth. Ryo isn't cocky or arrogant, he's thoughtful, driven, and haunted by both his past and the class-based cruelty around him. The magic and fight scenes are flashy, but the character development is what gives the story its weight. If you like your OP heroes with a side of introspection and world building, this one's a strong finisher for the list.
Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life? After dying in the real world, Masacho asks to be reincarnated in a fantasy world, but with one simple request: make me average. The gods listen, sorta. They average her stats between the weakest creature and the strongest being in existence. And result? She's absurdly overpowered. Reborn as Mile, she just wants to live a quiet, normal life. But that's kind of hard when you're accidentally faster than dragons, stronger than knights, and casually inventing magic tech no one's ever seen. Every time she tries to blend in, she ends up making herself look even more suspicious. What makes this series fun is the tone. It's part action, part parody. Mile constantly breaks the fourth wall, overthinks everything, and tries way too hard not to stand out while doing things like vaporizing bandit camps and one-shotting magical beasts. If you like OP characters wrapped in comedy and chaos, this one is a hidden gem.
Wise Man's Grandchild. A salaryman dies and gets reincarnated as Shin Wolford, the adopted grandson of the kingdom's most powerful wizard. Raised in isolation and trained by literal legends, Shin becomes an absolute magic monster with zero common sense. By the time he joins society, Shin can craft enchanted gear, destroy armies with one spell, and teleport across the country. But because he grew up in the woods, he has no idea what's considered normal. Every time he casually shows off, nobles and mages alike lose their minds. The best part? Shin has no ego. He's polite, humble, and just wants to help people. He's basically a lovable nuke with bad social skills. Add in a growing group of friends, and yes, harem elements, and you've got a classic power fantasy that doesn't take itself too seriously. If you're into overpowered protagonists with big explosions and lighthearted charm, this one checks every box.
The Aristocrat's Otherworldly Adventure. Cain von Silford is born into privilege and probably gets whisked away to serve the capricious gods of Alpacan. As his divine patron's butler and confidant, he wields authority that rivals kings, and often bends divine decrees to rebuild war-torn lands. But Cain's not alone. Alongside him stands Shin, his loyal retainer, and a growing circle of powerful women, a fierce knight commander, a stoic priestess, and a fallen goddess craving redemption. They aren't there for fan service. They're drawn to Cain's vision of justice and Shin's
unwavering loyalty. This isekai gem balances political intrigue, epic world building, and just enough harem warmth. You'll see kingdoms reclaimed, church corruption exposed, and personal bonds tested by divine politics. Kane's casually godlike abilities never overshadow his growth. He learns that absolute power demands responsibility. If you crave an OP protagonist whose power reshapes entire nations and a harem forged in shared ideals, this aristocratic saga delivers.
The 8th son? Are you kidding me? Imagine waking up as the 8th son and a broke noble family. No inheritance, no land, and no shot at a decent future. That's what happens to Shingo, a modern office worker who reincarnates as Wendelin and quickly realizes he needs to hustle or stay relevant. Good thing he's cracked at magic. While his family squabbles over scraps, Wendelin secretly trains with a wandering wizard, unlocks absurd spellcasting talent, and casually becomes one of the strongest mages in the kingdom. From dungeon crawling to dragon hunting, his rise is fast, but not without politics, jealous nobles, and arranged marriage plots. Yes, he's OP, but what makes this isekai different is how grounded it feels. Wendelin isn't out for revenge or world domination, he's just trying to make a decent living and protect the people around him. The action is solid, the pacing tight, and the story mixes power fantasy with political drama and some good old-fashioned adventurer grind. Not flashy, not overhyped, but definitely worth the watch if you like your magic OP and your protagonists a little more down to earth.
She professed herself pupil of the wise man. Koyomi awakens in his favorite VR MMO as the powerful mage Mira, only to discover the game's gender swap mechanic went full curveball. Now a woman, he keeps Mira's OP skills, reality-bending magic, instant unlocks, and combat feats that make dragons nervous. But Mira doesn't adventure solo. He attracts a loyal troop of companions, a shy swordswoman, a devilish beast girl, and a prickly archer from a rival guild. Each is drawn by Mira's power, charisma, and the genuine leadership Mira displays. No romance subplot feels forced. The magic system here is razor sharp. Spells require rituals, artifacts have histories, and Mira's constant stat boosts are balanced by political intrigue. If a noble house feels threatened, Mira counters with tactical brilliance, not just raw power. Pupil of the Wise Man stands out for its gender-bend nuance, solid world building, and a harem that forms through trust and shared danger. If you want OP magic wrapped in unexpected identity twists, this one teaches a masterclass.
So there you have it, 23 isekai anime where the main character doesn't just survive, they absolutely dominate. From slime gods to demon kings, cautious planners to chaotic shadow bosses, these protagonists make Overpowered look effortless. Now it's your turn. Which one's your favorite? Did we miss an OP legend? Drop your pick in the comments and let's argue like true anime fans. And hey, if you enjoyed this list, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and stick around.